Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons here. Well, actually, we're wrapping up the GEOINT 2025 Symposium. And with that said, one of the people I have the pleasure of talking to is Mark Munsell. With your new role, I know you're transitioning from an amazing role you've been in a little while with some amazing work that you're doing. But, just for our audience, can you talk about who you are briefly and maybe how you initially got your start in the industry, perhaps even way back in what got you into the geospatial world?
Sure. So my name is Mark Munsell. Recently retired from the National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency after a long career. Some of my roles there, I was the Chief Technology Officer at NGA. My most recent role, I was the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer and the Director of Digital Innovation. But I got my start in geospatial technology and the geospatial domain in 1990 with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
So you were at NOAA.
I was at NOAA, and so between teaching people how to say National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and how to say National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency, I brag that I worked at the two most difficult to pronounce agencies in America. But I started in 1990. I had this great, I still value it probably as my most favorite job, which was I was both a software engineer and a field technician. And so I got to do coastal mapping from Maine to Brownsville, Texas. And this was like getting in workboats and going 5-6 miles offshore. It was climbing lighthouses. It was installing tide gauges. It was just, really sort of hardy work out along the coast of America. And so I don't know if you were alive in 1990, but you probably weren't working. But computers were new. And so having had a background already in computers growing up, I built my first computer from a kit. Lots of software development as a young teenager. One of the first things that I did for NOAA was start to do software development in early stages and convert a lot of programs from old languages to new languages. And that just sort of started my career of, I'll call it digital transformation. It was really software engineering, but it was digital transformation everywhere I went, which I stayed in the geospatial domain my entire career, but everywhere I went, I did this digital transformation work that I'm very proud of. And I carried that with me everywhere, and including taking some time, almost 10 years, out with private industry. I worked for Northrop Grumman Task. I started my own business and sold that, and all the way to the digital transformation work that I did at NGA for the last 15 years.
So for you, digital transformation means essentially taking what everybody's doing now, whatever era you happen to be in at the time, and bringing them into the next stage of what technology is bringing us to, right? So you're on the forefront of every era in the last couple decades.
So here's an example of that era, right? So it's 1995.
Right.
The Defense Mapping Agency is using Unix sort of based systems. They're not really networked. There's no concept of sort of network security and things like that. So I said, why don't we use Windows for this next system? Why don't we use Cat5, TCP/IP networking? And literally went out to Best Buy. Back then it wasn't Best Buy, CompUSA or whatever it was, and put a shopping cart full of Windows, network hubs and cable, and drove it through the front door of past the guards at NGA. But it didn't exist.
Yeah.
No one was doing that, right? So those were all new. They had to get a waiver to not use the Ada programming language for the system that I was working on. That was the era. And so imagine that then every 5 years, every 10 years, that's sort of how the eras evolved, all the way to now where we're building artificial intelligence in this very high-level abstraction. Now where these systems do the coding themselves, they access APIs themselves. It's just blowing my mind.
Oh, that's pretty surreal going through those stages for you.
That's right.
Imagine, right? So, so let's talk about where you are now. So you have come a long way, and you've decided to dive into something new coming up, right? And it was just announced at GEOINT this year.
Yeah. So, like I said, just recently retired. I've retired before, and I knew that I had to do something active. I'm an extrovert. I knew I had to be around people. and sort of not be in my office and work on one project. That wasn't in the cards for me. I knew to plan it differently for this. So I have a heart for my local city. I was born here in St. Louis at Lutheran Hospital, which doesn't exist anymore, and have always had a love for the region, a love for the people, and I thought I would best spend my time promoting the city, promoting economic development in the city, and then take both my technical skills and my geospatial background, bring those things together and help Greater St. Louis Inc., right, the premier economic development nonprofit here in St. Louis, to continue the energy that they've already started with GeoFutures, continue that into the future, build something new, build something great, to be able to bring in companies, to be able to bring in jobs in the geospatial ecosystem. And so it was, I think, a perfect match for me to be able to leverage who I am, also leverage the desire to meet new people, expand my human network. All of those things is a nice pairing of both of those things.
Well, any hints that you can give us? I know you're just starting out. Any hints in terms of that, what that vision of what you want to do to get started?
So there's a couple things happening this year that I think are important, right? The fact that we had the GEOINT Symposium here, lots of energy here in St. Louis. They got to see what's happening. And then, of course, the opening of the next campus, right? Mm-hmm. Next NGA headquarters west, which will be in the end of September, beginning of October. So both of those things are sort of highlighting, spotlighting St. Louis. The opportunity here is to take a second, look at what our objectives were 5 years ago when this was started, look at what those goals were, revalidate those goals with the community based on this era, just like we said before, based on what is about to happen next, and then hopefully the community that exists here, bring them together, get everyone aligned under those revalidated common goals. Right. And then be able to say, this is what we want to do moving forward, get everyone in the community behind that strategy. And we're going to do that over the next couple of months, over the summer. And what you'll probably see is some sort of rebirth, some sort of new organization that will have a structure, will have new goals, will have sort of new energy moving out into the future. So there'll be milestones along the way this fall, where we'll probably sort of relaunch this effort. I don't even know if it's going to be called GeoFutures, right? It might be branded something new and something different, something exciting.
So this is sort of similar to GeoFutures. This is a sort of a breakout of Greater St. Louis Inc., something separate. Do you have your own team behind this? Do you know what that looks like yet?
Yeah, so one of the things they asked me to do was to design all of that.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So it's nice, right? They're trusting me to be able to sort of pick the right components, lay out the design, get the right people involved, and so that's the work that will happen over the summer.
Awesome. Do you have any idea what types of organizations, even locally, that you want to make bridges to help bring in, continue to evangelize what St. Louis looks like externally to this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that there's obviously already established organizations here. We're very proud of Taylor Geospatial Institute,
right?
And all the work they've done bringing the 8 universities together. That's an example of one component that will be part of this. Will help orchestrate all of this. So if Taylor Geospatial Institute comes up with a new project, or they have a new research project, that matches some other entity here in St. Louis, or is a good pairing with another partner out in the ecosystem, this new group will help do that coordination, will help make sure that we're all aligned to the common goals. Maybe there will be efforts to partner inside of that group. The Taylor Geospatial Engine is another one. So there are good examples of entities that already exist that will be part of the new group, that we will count them as trusted members of the new group and help us plan for, revalidate our goals and plan for new goals, and sort of work together to bring the whole ecosystem together.
Awesome. Roughly, do you have an idea of when we might expect to hear really how these plans might develop? Maybe another 6 months or so, or?
I think sooner than that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think we should be able to unveil what our plans are, hopefully before the new campus opens.
That is great. That'll be aligned with what those strategy is, and everybody has something exciting to talk about, not just with NGA, but obviously with the future of geospatial in the ecosystem as a whole.
That's right.
Okay, great. Well, is there any last minute things that you would like our audience to know? Maybe the future of St. Louis and the geospatial ecosystem within it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much opportunity here. There's so many good things that we can do here. The overlap of agriculture, of biosciences, of public health, and medicine, and defense, right? So, Boeing is a great example of the sort of history and heart of the city in terms of what we can do for the country in defense. The overlap of all of those things is where it's St. Louis. Right? That's where the intersection of those things come together. And so, if anyone's listening to this and they want to be part of that community, they think they're part of that overlap, there's a great opportunity to join us. There's a great opportunity to help in the effort moving forward. And I would invite you to come in and contact me and to contact Greater St. Louis, Inc. and help us in that effort.
Well, thank you, Mark, for the conversation and the discussions and learning a little bit more about the upcoming future of the St. Louis geospatial ecosystem.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. I'm Adam Simmons with Project Geospatial. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to everybody next time.